Hello guys, it's me, teacher Yolanda. So today we're going to start with our classes online here in YouTube. So for this class, I need you to take out your student's book and workbook because we're going to be working with them exactly where we left it the last time. Are you ready? So let's begin. Let's start with our student's book at page 88. We're going to be working with pages 88 together first and then pages 89, okay? So let's begin with this part in the student's book. Exercise 1 says, look at the covers, work with your partner and guess why the books are special. So basically all of the books that we have here have something special. Look at them. What do you think it is that makes them special? Analyze the covers and think about it. Let's pay attention to the suggestion of some kids. Is it the shortest book in the world? Was it written by a child? Was it the first book ever printed? Has it only got one sentence? So we're going to pay attention to all of them. They are the Grimm's fairy tales, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, The Birds of America, and Gatsby. So, after that, now we're going to listen to the audio and check why they are so special. After that, we're going to answer with the same listening to these questions. Pay attention. Question number 1, how many words are in Gatsby? Number 2, how many paintings are in Birds of America? 3, how much did a copy of Birds of America sell for? Number 4. When was the collection of fairy tales first published? Number 5. Into how many languages was The Very Hungry Caterpillar translated? Spoiler, all of these answers are going to be numbers, so pay attention. I'm going to play the audio, and if you need to listen to it more times, let's say, you are going to rewind your video a little bit, okay? So let's listen to it.
Student's Book, page 88. 3. Listen again and answer the questions.
In 1939, Ernest Vincent Wright wrote a novel called Gadsby. It is about how a man called Gadsby helps save a town that is slowly dying. The book is quite long. In fact, it has 50,110 words, but the incredible thing is that none of the words in the book use the letter E. And remember, E is the most used letter in the English language.
John James Audubon was a French-American naturalist and painter. He loved to paint birds. During the 1830s, he produced a book with 435 beautiful paintings of birds. It was called Birds of America. In 2010, a copy of this book sold for £7.3 million, making it the most expensive book in the world.
The most famous collection of fairy tales was published in Germany in 1812 by the Grimm brothers. The collection contains well-known fairy tales such as Snow White and Rose Red, Rumpelstiltskin and Rapunzel. Many of the fairy tales have been made into films.
Eric Carle's picture book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, is one of the United Kingdom's best-loved books. It's the story of a tiny egg that turns into a caterpillar and eats its way through different foods. It finally becomes a butterfly. The picture book was translated into over 50 languages.
Okay, so basically this is the reason why these books are so special. Again, if you need to listen to the audio again to put these answers here, please rewind the video a little bit. Now, let's move on to the second exercise. The second exercise says, read about 50 word stories and think about the questions. Let's read over here. It says, can you write a story using exactly 50 words? Look at this example. It tells the story of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. There is only one problem. It's got 5 words too many. That means that there is an excess of 5 words. Can you make it exactly 50 words long? Now let's read the text and let's try to find the 5 extra words. It says, Romeo and Juliet fall in love. The families are great enemies, so they decide to get married in secret. Before this, Juliet pretends to die to avoid marrying a man she doesn't like very much. Romeo thinks she's dead and so he kills himself. Juliet wakes up, sees Romeo's dead body and kills herself. So, following the instructions, we must find words that are not very necessary for the context to be still understood. So it says, Romeo and Juliet fall in love. I think everything there is absolutely necessary. Now, the families are great enemies, so they decide to get married in secret. There is an extra word. This extra word is an adjective. Remember, adjectives only give us further description about an object, but not necessarily they are crucial for understanding the text. Can you find the adjective? Their families are great enemies. It's there. Can you find it? If you said great, well, that's correct. Let's cross it out in our student's book. Listen to it. The families are great enemies, but you can also say the families are enemies, and you can still understand the text. Now let's continue with the next line. The families are enemies, so they decide to get married in secret. Before this, Juliet pretends to die to avoid marrying a man she doesn't like very much. Guess what? The extra 4 words that are missing to cross out are in this sentence. Let me give you some clues. Some of these are time markers. Some of these are quantifiers. Some of these are adverbs. That means that they are not verbs, they are not nouns. So, can you find them? Let me help you. These 2 are not completely necessary. Read the text. Juliet pretends to die to avoid marrying a man she doesn't like very much. You can still understand the idea. Can you find some quantifiers? These quantifiers are not strictly necessary for understanding the text. Yes, they are these and these. Now we have crossed out our 5 words too many. Let's read it. It says, Romeo and Juliet fall in love. The families are enemies, so they decide to get married in secret. Juliet pretends to die to avoid marrying a man she doesn't like. Romeo thinks she's dead, and so he kills himself. Juliet wakes up, sees Romeo's dead body, and kills herself. Can you see? Now the text is completely understandable, but not necessarily. It has all the words that we first thought of. Now, exercise 5. Exercise 5 is going to be our homework. In our homework, it says, think of a story you know well and tell it in 5 words. If you want, you can be like Ernest Benson Wright and not use any word with an E in it. Do you remember Gatsby? Gatsby was particular. Why? It was particular because all his enormous book doesn't have a single letter E. Can you see all the letters E? Well, Now the activity here tells you that you can try to write a story like this one, like the one of Romeo and Juliet, with exactly 50 words. We're going to write this story with our title. What's going to be our title? The title is going to be Students Book page 88, and you're going to write it in the Superminds platform in the blog, and I'm going to check them there. Now, let's open our workbook in the same page. Here in the workbook, we have a text, workbook page 88. It is about the Guinness World Records of 2013. Do you know the Guinness World Records? They are some people who testify and make videos of the greatest things done by men and women all over the globe. So, here we have all our options, and this is the example. Let's pay attention to this. It says, have you ever wanted to know what is the tallest building in the world, or which animal, etc.? Where did they get the hat from? They got it from here. The options were has, have, and had. Why is have the correct one? Because here it says you. And with you, you cannot put has you, no. Had you? Maybe, but the thing is that it says, have you ever wanted to know? ¿Alguna vez has querido saber? This is has querido saber. So that's why we put it in present. Have you ever wanted to know? So I want you to please answer this page and write the correct words on the line. Please do it. Now, let's move to the next page, Students Book, page 89. At page 89, it starts with, look at the pictures and answer the questions. What are the three men doing? Do you know how to call this activity? This activity is called knock. What is knock? That is to knock. The three men are knocking at the door. What does the man want to do with the cow? If we look at it, well, he's taking it into the forest. I don't know. Let's read, listen, and check your answers. Okay, so let's pay attention to all the text. Now, according to the book.
Book, page 89. 2. Read, listen, and check your answers.
A clever woman. Marlowe was the richest man in the village. One evening, 3 men knocked at his door. They were tired and wanted a bed for the night. "You can sleep in the stable," said Marlowe, "and my servant will bring you some soup." The strangers said thank you and went to the stable. In the middle of the night, one of the men got up quietly. He took a rope and tied it round a cow's neck. He led the cow into a forest and tied it to a tree. "I'll get the cow in the morning and sell her in the market," he thought. Next morning, the servant went to milk the cows. When he saw that one was missing, he went to tell Marlowe. Marlowe went to the stable. "Did you steal one of my cows?" he asked. "Of course not," the 3 men answered. "We were asleep all night." Marlowe told his wife about the cow. "I'm sure that one of the 3 men stole the cow." She said, "I have a plan." They went to the stable, and she said, "We have a very clever dog called Barney. He will show us who stole the cow."
Go into the room where Barney is and stroke him. When the thief strokes Barney's fur, the dog will bark.
The first man went into the room. The dog didn't make a sound. The second man went in. The dog didn't make a sound. Finally, the third man went in. The dog still didn't make a sound.
Did you all stroke the dog's fur?
Asked the woman.
Yes,
They said. Then Marlowe's wife asked to smell the hand that each man used to stroke the dog. She smelled them in turn. When she got to the third man, she said,
You are the thief. Our dog Barney is very smelly. Your friend's hands smell of Barney. Your hand doesn't. You didn't stroke Barney's fur because you were afraid that Barney would bark. Now, tell us where the cow is.
Okay, so that's the end of our story. Now, in the second part, it says, match the sentences helps to make the summary. So we're going to make a summary of the story. The summary, I'm going to ask your help for writing the letter next to the number. Let's read all of the options quickly. Number 1. 3 men were looking. Number 2, Marlowe told them to sleep in the stable. 3, in the middle of the night, one of the men. 4, he wanted to sell it. 5, in the morning, one of the servants. 6, the farmer told his wife who. 7, the 3 men had to stroke. What's the meaning of a stroke? A stroke is to caress. 8, the thief's hand didn't. 9, so the farmer's wife knew. So we have to pair them up with all of these. Let's read them again. A, in the market the next day. B, smell of Barney. C, and gave them some soup. D, the dog's fur. E, who the thief was. F, had a plan. G, for a place to stay overnight. And H, saw that a cow was missing. I took Marlowe's cow into the forest. What's the meaning of fur? Fur is the hair of a dog or any animal. So your cat doesn't have hair. Your cat has fur. Your dog doesn't have hair. Your dog has fur. So let's do number 1 together so we can understand more or less what the story is about. Ready? So number 1 says, 3 men were looking. So let's pay attention. 3 men were looking in the market, smell of Barney, and gave them some soup. The dog's fur, who the thief was, had a plan for a place to stay overnight. So the correct answer is letter G. 3 men were looking for a place to stay overnight. So what we're going to do is that we're going to write the letter G. Please write letter G next to the number 1. And that's how we're going to do this page. So please continue solving the rest of the sentences. Finally, we have arrived to the last page. Let's open our workbook at page 89. At page 89, the first exercise says, number 1, values. Read the story on page 89 in the student's book again. Circle the words to make the moral of the story. Obviously, we were talking about a thief, so let's make some guessings about this. I think that we can start with the last part here. We have brave, honest, and clever. So I'm considering this, and I think that the best thing to do is to think about the opposite, honest, yes? So maybe we should color that one. Now, let's look at the rest of the words. What do you think it is that we should do? Can you see? I guess that we're talking about to be honest, right? What do you think to be honest is? Worst, best, or never? I think it's best. So maybe the phrase is, it's always best to be honest. That is the moral of the story. Remember that a moral is something good that you should learn. What are we learning with this story? Honesty. So it says, read the sentences, do the puzzle, find the name of the thief. Number 1, a place where the farmer keeps his horses and cows. All of these words and all of these answers are in the story. If we pay attention, the answer would be stable. Yes, the stable. The next one says, number 2, a place where people sell things, especially from a farm. 3, to take what is not yours. Number 4, a man who works for a rich person and does what that person asks him to do. Number 5, to run your hand across a dog's fur. Number 6, the noise a dog makes. So all of these words are in the student's book. We're going to answer them and we're going to check them later in our conversation via Zoom. Another thing that you should do is exercise 3. And exercise 3 says, look at the pictures to help you write the end of the story. So the story of Marlowe and the cow and Barney, the dog, etc., and the 3 men, it's incomplete. These 3 pictures show the end of the story. What we're going to do is that we're going to write our end of the story right over here. Yes? So you can have all the story finished. And we'll share our stories later on with our conversation. So last but not least, there is a set of exercises besides these pages of the workbook that we should do. And also I'm going to give you a PDF that teacher Javier is going to give all of you to read. And we're going to see each other in our Zoom conversation later. So please be there and see you in a while. So bye.